Welcome, everyone, to the Can Love and Justice Coexist session. I am going live here on YouTube and LinkedIn for the very first time. So I'm very, very excited about this. I want to check in with everyone to see how are you doing? How are you feeling? The individuals that connect most with me and with the movement that we're on are feeling a little heavy right now with the news and with the comments coming from the nation's capital here in America. And I want to remind you that love and justice can coexist. That's the question I think a lot of people are wondering right now. I mean, it was just a month ago, less than a month ago, everyone was celebrating MLK Day. A couple weeks ago, should I say? And Martin Luther King stood for love, justice, freedom, democracy, and nonviolence. And I really do know that it's really challenging in the human experience to be able to grab a hold of those sentiments, those ideas, and actually put them into practice. Because I'm going to tell you something. If I wasn't the person that I am today, I would be outraged. And I still am. I mean, I'm feeling so disgruntled, disheartened, and sad, but not for long. You see, we're human, and I get it. We have feelings, we have emotions, and we have these thoughts in our minds about what is going on. And I do know that we can find a path. We can find a path for us to stay the course, for us to be able to learn how to move forward and come out of this time period. I just want to remind you that this has happened before. We've had people who have been leading in our we have actually, not just to even overlay it in the America, let's lay it over your job. Let's put this in your home. Let's put this in your community. We've had people who have had positions of leadership and have displayed these actions that were really self-centered, often not thinking about the people and how we all have our own ways of dealing with trauma. We have our own ways of dealing with discord and really pushing ideas that tend to just focus on ego and divisiveness and separation can be disturbing. And I just want you to know that we can find a way to let love and justice coexist, because love and justice do coexist. And I want to share some things with you as I was sharing with Central Michigan University here recently with the director of the Office of Multicultural Services, Alfred Harper. Shout out to Alfred. I just want to share with you that when I was going into this presentation, I knew that the students were on fire. I was sitting there and I was asked to come there and I was asked to speak about the topic of freedom, justice, democracy, and nonviolence. And right before I started going into this presentation, the news was coming in about what was happening from our nation's capital, that people were being given this pardon who actually did some horrible things to our nation's capital. Confusing. Like, wait, what? And then also there was this whole dismantling of all the work that I know that I was trained to do in the area of civil rights and harmony and justice and freedom. So we had on one end of the spectrum, these people who were being let go and pardoned from doing such grave harm to what we would think in any year of our world would go, whoa, whoa, you have that. And then on the other end, you have people whose jobs are being let go. They are being asked to leave. We are uprooting this thing called diversity, freedom, and work that we've gone and spent so much time to try and create equity and equality in our world. So I knew that on my shoulders, I felt the heaviness of what do I say? How do I encourage the students? How do I come to them with a message that seems so contrary, so opposite of what they likely have seen? Because a lot of the students, they were actually going into the streets and doing protests and raising fists and really kind of opposing certain types of ideas and so forth. And I was telling them that, "Mm, I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is I want you to pause." What? How are you going to tell me to pause during a time like this? Because what I do know about what's going on is critical, not only for the students, but critical for you. And here's what it is: to the degree that you don't have a sense of self, an idea of your internal makeup, the idea that you have power, the idea that you were put on this earth for a very specific purpose and a very specific mission. There's a reason why you were born in this generation, not in 1920, not in 1890. You were born in this generation for a reason. That means that you have solutions. You actually have an assignment that you were brought on this earth for, and you have to fulfill it. You can't fulfill this assignment paying attention to noise. You can't fulfill your assignment paying attention to all the things going on in the world. It's a distraction. It's a distraction, my friends. Say distraction. It is a distraction. And also, the focus is fear. What better way to take you off of your purpose? What better way to take you off of what it is you've been assigned to do than to distract you? You see, this was the kind of conversation I started to have with the students when they were coming into this Central Michigan University talk, right? And I think a lot of them were like, aren't we supposed to be? This is what I'm thinking. They're thinking, aren't we just supposed to be working on how we're going to organize, how we're going to get a protest, how we're going to fight the power? Yeah, well, you can't fight fire with fire, right? How many of you know that, right? If you fight fire with fire, what you going to get? More fire. And you're going to be feeling that fire deep down in your soul to the point where you will implode, right? You never, ever, ever, not that I'm a fan of war, but you never send troops out to combat without basic training. And this basic training I am asking every single one of us to do is to have this strength, have this power, have this knowing on the inside of you so that when you go out into the world, you are not swayed by egoic behavior. You're not swayed by this I will call it separation. People who want to separate. And I'm going to tell you something. Anyone whose goal is to separate and to make the focus their own selves, that and or their own way of keeping people separate, that's not good leadership. I don't care what side you're on. It's not good leadership. You're not going to get to justice because you will find ways to create clever things to take people off of their game, right? Clever people aren't always intelligent people, right? There's a difference between being clever and being highly intelligent, right? Cleverness actually causes you to kind of, have this idea and then you put it out there, but it's not going to last long, right? Intelligence and what I call your divine intelligence is what helps people see transformation over time, right? So this is the kind of stuff I was sharing with the students that I'm sharing with you now, because it is all a waste of time for you to organize, go out there and fight and have your fist up and do all this other stuff. It makes you feel like you're taking action, but you're not. You could feel good, but you're not really getting to the bottom of the issue, right? So you're kind of like just going out there because you think you should do something. So you go out there and then you get on social media and you talk about all of these people, you talk about all these problems, and then you feel good because you got a whole bunch of group of people who are talking the same, but you're not getting to the root. You're not getting to the root. Say, I'm not getting to the root, right? You're not getting to the root, right? It's all a waste of your oxygen. It's a waste of your energy to put that to that. And how many of you know that to put out a fire, what should you do? What should you do? You should remove the oxygen from it, right? And it's really, really hard to do that in a world that needs oxygen and nitrogen, right? So what we have to do is we have to pull our attention away from things. And what I want you to do is I want you to follow an acronym that we have established, and I really do believe it will help you. And I want to give you some tools and some strategies and some things to think about, right? Because right now, everyone is in the fight or flight mode. Not I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of people, because there's such a dissonance going on, and everyone is frustrated and angry, and rightfully so, because right where some people are losing their jobs, some people are going through what's title changes, these reorganizations in their organizations. People are putting forth policies and practices that have never been, they're unprecedented, and it's causing people to go into fear mode, right? Which is really no different. And just hold on for a second. It's really no different than what was going on in the 60s, except for it wasn't just people's jobs that were at stake, it was people's lives that were at stake, right? Because if I speak up and say what I want to say, I might get lynched. You see? So we all are in a same type of way. One was life and the other one is liberty, right? So, and I want us to really think about this. Give me liberty or give me death. Huh. What does that mean? Well, that means that I'm willing to struggle. I'm willing to suffer. And I'm willing to get into uncomfortable situations so that I can make change and transformation happen with my intelligent divinity. You are a spiritual being. You are having a human experience. You have an assignment. Say, I have an assignment. Yes, you have an assignment. You have an assignment. And you have to believe that. You've got to believe this. And so I want to give you some tools. I want to give you some things to think about. And I'm just going to tell you this right here, all of the things going on right now is exactly why I was born. You see, I've been doing the things I'm about to tell you because just 4 years ago, when COVID hit, I was on my back, depressed, anxious. I couldn't eat. I was lost like 20 pounds. I was shaking uncontrollably. My throat was restricted. I thought I was going through cancer. I thought that I was experiencing cancer because I just could not get out of bed. And there were so many people who were telling me, Diana, we need you to come over here. We need you to come over here. I'm like, I can't even function. I felt the weight of the world inside of my body. And for some of you, that's what you're experiencing. So I just want to let you know, we're the same, right? We're the same. We both feel, you and I, we both feel this weight, right? But we can't stay there. So I like to quote Shawshank Redemption. Here it is, right? Get busy living or get busy dying. Which one you want to do? Because for those of you who are ready to get busy living, I got a plan for you. I got things that we can do. And it does not look like the world looks. Okay. And if you're with this, I'm willing to travel through it with you. I'm willing to travel with you. right? And this is exactly the message that Martin Luther King had. He had a message of nonviolence. And I would like to invite all of you to go to the King Center and look up nonviolence. Just Google it, right? And I'm going to quote you and I'm going to ask you, and I asked the students at Central Michigan University, what does nonviolence mean to you? Put it in the chat. What does nonviolence mean to you? I would love for you to describe it for me. Nonviolence. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to read to you from our weekly content at Rise with Diana. We submit every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We submit our weekly content. And if you'd like to subscribe to that, I would suggest that you do, because you can get some education and you can feel like you're in a group of people who are doing some forward movement. All right. So here's what I want to describe to you. Here it is. Okay. Nonviolence is a love-centered way of thinking, speaking, acting, and engaging that leads to personal, cultural, and societal transformation. Nonviolence, right? This is nonviolence. So what I want to hear from you, and do you do that for yourself? Do you have a nonviolent way of thinking, speaking, right? And acting towards yourself? You know, the scriptures say, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, most of us don't love our neighbors. Why? I really believe because we really don't know what it means to love ourselves, what it really, really means to love yourself, to get back into the power structure, right? Again, power, true power, does not come from ego. True power does not come to separate and divide. And again, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, neither or, whatever you call yourself, if your goal is to divide and conquer, you won't conquer. You'll feel good and you might be on a couple covers of magazines, but you'll be known for the divisiveness nature, right, that you have, because hate doesn't turn out hate, right? It feels good, but it doesn't. So let me give you this acronym, right? And I like to call it PRAY. All right. We have a lot of acronyms because they work. And if you just put them into your practice, which we are all about practicing here in the Rise with Diana community, because we're not just about going to a gala, going to a function, going to a meeting and just sitting there and having conversations. We are all about actually living our work, practicing our work, doing the work behind the scenes. Okay. So here's what I want to share with you. The acronym is called PRAY. All right. So the first P in PRAY is pause. Step back from the situation, right? You need to be like an eagle. You need to rise above the storm. Eagles, during the middle of storms, they rise above the storm. They coast above the storm so that they can look down above it. That's what wise people do. That's what intelligent people do, right? That's not what people do that are bloated with ego, bloated with this, I'm going to get you back. Oh, I'm going to show you. I'm going to get back at you. No, that's not what intelligent people do, right? And I know I'm going to be stepping on some toes here because that's what ego people do. That's what ego people do. Say that's what ego people do. That's what ego people do. But eagles, 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 we rise above it. So the first P is pray, and pray is pause. The first P is pause, right? Reconnect with yourself. Get into introspection. Understand these triggers, right? I want you to be a ninja of yourself. And the only way to be a ninja is to pause and to rise above it, okay? That's the P in pray. The second is restructure, all right? So reframes goes, the R in pray is reframe. Let's focus, and I'm reading from our beautiful content. I just love it. Let's focus on and talk about the issues rather than the people behind them. Anything else is a waste and misdirection of our own energy. You can take the people who divide and you could take those ego people and you could put a name on it all throughout history. You can put the names to it, but they don't really matter, right? Though that doesn't really matter. What matters is the issue. How are we going to deal with the issues, right? Because when you don't take it personal from the person, right, it doesn't become personal, right? It has no relevance in me. But this is a practice, behind the scenes, because all of us are looking at these people face to face. You got to know how to look people in the eye. That's one thing my daddy taught me. Okay. Even though he gave me a lot of abusive actions, he taught me how to look people in the eye. Right. That's for another live. But the R in pray, redirect. Okay. That's redirect. All right. So here is, reframe. Why I say redirect? Reframe. Y'all help me out. Okay. The A in pray is act, right? So advocacy doesn't mean picking fights. It means creating change with love, with love and clarity. So the A in act is love and clarity, because you can't be clear when you're bloated with fear and anger. All right. So that is the A in pray, advocacy. This is what we're all about in our community, is advocacy. And we do it very strategically, right? We aren't always looking for applause, awards, or likes on social media. We are all about the change. And this is where I love to quote my grandma, Luella Talmadge Jackson. I'm channeling her a lot here recently in what she would do. Man, I would love to read her book. She was a great advocate in her community. We just need more people doing these kinds of things in our community, like my grandma did. Again, we'll go deeper in that for another live. So we have P, pause. We have R, we have refrain. A, which is act, which is advocacy. And then the Y that I believe is so necessary is you need to be able to say yes to yourself. Yes, that I'm going to follow this path, right? That yes, I'm going to say yes to me first. Yes to my home, my community. Yes to stability. Yes to love. Yes to hope, kindness, joy, all of those things, to say yes to those kind of things. And when you say yes to that, you will receive that. You will attract that into your life. You will see your work come alive. That is a part of pray. A lot of people are being laughed at and mocked and told, why would you love somebody? Why would you have empathy? Why would you do those kinds of things? Well, that's so typical, right? Isn't that typical? I mean, sometimes I often go, well, yeah, I mean, that's what people with ego bloated with divisiveness do. I just want us to understand that it's not the person, this is the path that people take when they're bloated with divisiveness and ego. As much as I know we want to spend time just rattling on about that and raising the fist, it doesn't help us move forward. So yes to love, yes to this as a strategy. Now, this was a lot of feel good messaging, but what I want us to do is I want us to take this type of action. What's one thing that you need to focus on? Is it P, the pray, the R, the refrain, the A, act? Because don't do the act without the P and the R, okay? And then saying yes to this type of methodology. Is this where you're at? Listen, I know you might need some support. You might need to you need to be around people who talk like this. And if you're not around people that talk like this, you're around people who do violence. All it's going to do is make you frustrated and angry and having more violence. Okay, so this is going to be the messaging. This is the work that we even tell our women to do in our Rise with Diana community with our Rise Advocates movement, right? We know things aren't going to turn around just like this. We know things aren't going to shape and go 100% in our favor all the time. But guess what? We're going to stay the course because you have an assignment. You have a bold, audacious platform, and it's deep within your body, it's in your mind, it's in your subconscious, it's actually in your soul. So I want you to find it. And these are the steps to find it. This is a movement. This is why I was born. And this is what I will continue to do no matter who leads and where I'm at. My title, my degrees, and all that stuff is for y'all to think how important I am. I already am important, just like you're already important without any of those things, because you were born with it. So let's get busy with the pray. Let's get busy taking nonviolent action. Let's get busy organizing where we need to organize and know that love and justice can coexist.